Today, Randy will be talking to us on how to move from ordinary to extraordinary. Please help me welcome Randy Powell.
How's everybody doing? You doing okay? You're looking good. Well, this is a good-looking crowd. Good-looking crowd. How many of you like music? You like music? I love this song. Who knows who this is? Al Jarreau, Boogie Down. You like music? Let's spice it up a little bit, right? Everybody having a good time? Oh, goodness gracious. I gotta ask you a question though before I get up on stage, because once I get up on stage, I can't come down. And as you can tell, I like people. And the more I hear about public health, especially safety, which is a lot of my background, I think you're my people. And maybe I should have been in public health. But I'll tell you, I'm voting for safety, by the way. And I'm making my way over the stage, but I got a question to ask you, if I could just ask you a quick question. Would you like to have a little boring, formal presentation? Or would you prefer can I just have a conversation with you? Can I just break it down for you? All right, let's have some fun. All right, come on now. Look at Michael go. All right. You can be what you want to. Who knows what boogie means? Come on now, you know what boogie means. I know you used to go out. I know you used to go out back in the day. I'm 50 and I still try to once in a while. All right, all right. Well, it's my pleasure to be here. I'll tell you, I'm a happy man this morning. I'm happy for a number of reasons. I got up, first of all. How many of you are happy you just got up? Yeah! I know that's right. You know, we had some fun out in the desert yesterday. We had a good time. And someone said something about this group being a good-looking group. And I can't even compare. Both groups are good-looking. Fantastic group. You know, the CEO was sitting next to me yesterday in the front row. They gave me a front row ticket. And when Susan introduced, I had no idea that this guy sitting there with just a shirt and some slacks on, being cool, and he spoke to me as soon as I sat down. It's such a down-to-earth CEO. A lot of times you don't find CEOs like that, you know? So you have, from the top down, a great leadership team. I had the opportunity to speak with some of your leadership members yesterday. After the session, we had a little snack together, and I had a chance to talk about leadership a little bit. And I'll tell you, I know you've gone through let me just get the elephant out of the room real quick. You've gone through some flux. You've had some things happen out here in space, but things are starting to come back together, would you say? But there's three things that I want you to know that I want to have a conversation with you about. And change is just one of those parts of life. And so the three things I want to talk to you about and have a conversation with you about is attitude. I want to start with attitude. And then I want to transition into mindset. And then the last thing I want to talk about is service. And I hope it comes together for you. Now, in a crowd this big, sometimes there's a person, maybe two, that may not get the entire message. But I believe, based on the energy and the people in this room, that if you know somebody that doesn't really get the message totally, then perhaps what you'll do is just nudge them a little bit and help them complete the message. Can you help me with that? Would that be okay? Several years ago, well, let me start by this. I have to tell you something. I'm just going to break it down for you. I have a condition. We all have conditions, by the way. I have ADHD, but I'm not sad about it. I have high definition ADHD. So you're coming into me live, and I'm glad you got the energy level up. I want to share something with you. I'm married to one of the most wonderful women on the planet. I had to go to Mars to find her, but I found her. Took me a long time. She's one of the smartest people I know. And several years ago, she worked for a corporation for many years in Corona. Now, I can't mention the corporation because that's not important. What's really important is what I want to share with you. She worked in the HR department, and then she moved over into accounting and finance. And she ran the accounting and finance department for many, many years. She's a natural when it comes to numbers. And every day, she would stop off. Now, I don't know about you, but I stop at Starbucks. I'm hooked. And I need a cup of coffee to help me get going. You know, I sit there and I plan my day, and I want to be effective every day. And I'm sure you do the same thing. In your own ritual, we all have rituals, would you agree? And it's the rituals that set you up for success. And if you don't have a ritual that's leading towards success, well, we'll talk about that. But anyhow, every morning, my wife would stop about 2 blocks from her office and hit the drive-thru, but it wasn't Starbucks. It wasn't Starbucks. It was just a regular old drive-thru window that happened to sell hamburgers and french fries and breakfast, but they sold her favorite beverage, Diet Coke. Yes, my wife was a Diet Coke freak. I know this is public health. I'm happy to say she's off the Diet Coke now. As I said, this was many years ago. And every day that she drove through the drive-thru, the greatest, most warm voice would say to her, "Good morning. How are you today? What may I help you with?" And she would always answer the same. "I'll have a large Diet Coke Easy Ice, please." And this wonderful voice would say, "Is there anything else that I can do for you today?" And she'd say, "No, that would be it. $1.68, please, at the window. Happy to serve you." My wife would drive up. She would get her Diet Coke. And in the time that it took for her to get there, she already started feeling good. Because of what? That voice, that greeting, that person on the other side. Now, she hadn't seen the person yet. She's talking to a box. This went on for about a year, a little over a year. My wife needed a position filled. Now, who do you suppose was the very first person that my wife thought of when she needed to fill a position? That box. Well, does that box have a name? Of course it does. Her name is Candace. It's still Candace. And I got to tell you, my wife drove up one morning, and after the ritual, she got to the window and she didn't know the name of the person. My wife hadn't extended herself. So she asked her, "What's your name?" She said, "Candace." She said, "Candace, I have been coming here daily for over a year, and you have the greatest attitude. You're always greeting me in a way that makes me get ready for work." And she had a tough job, by the way. She said, "I want to know if you would like to come work in my department." And so Candace said, "Well, what do you do? Where do you work?" She told her where she works, and she slowed down to prepare her for what she was going to do. And the reason is, my wife is very, very sensitive. And so she said, "Well, Candace, I have a bookkeeping position open, a lot of data entry, but I think you would be fantastic." She said, "Oh, no. She stepped back from the window. She said, "Oh, no, I couldn't do that." She said, "Why?" She said, "Oh, I don't work anywhere but right here at the window. I couldn't do that." Now, what I didn't share with you was Candace had 2 boys that she was raising, a single parent. And my wife encouraged her. She said, "No, Candace, I'm telling you that you would be fantastic. You would be a great addition to my office, to this department. We need a person like you in the office." Candace thought about it a little bit, and with my wife's encouragement, she decided to go in and fill out the application. A couple days later, she went down, she filled out the application, and my wife ran across one of the owners. It's multiple owners. And notice I put the 4 up, because that's how many owners there are. And she ran across one of the owners, honestly, I want to say about 7, 8 months ago now, maybe a little longer. And she asked one of the brothers, notice I said there are 4 brothers. She asked one of the brothers, oh, how's Candace doing? Is she still there? Blah, blah. And do you know that she started out in bookkeeping, and now she's running the department that my wife vacated several years ago. Yeah, absolutely. Now, this story does a couple of things. First of all, it sets up the attitude. She has an attitude of gratitude to this day that a lot of us forget to have. We forget to think about, oh, I'm happy I got up this morning, or I'm happy I got a job, or I'm just happy because I feel good today. And Candace's attitude was steady. I don't know when Candace got it, but those 2 boys that she was raising, they're much older now, fine young men. But those 2 boys that she was raising, she sent a message to those young men that no matter what, if you have a great attitude, an attitude of gratitude, and you stay with it, and you treat people well, and you do the best you can no matter what position you have in life, you don't know who's watching. You never know, and let me tell you, I promise you, there's always someone watching you. And that's why Candace was able to change her circumstances and move from that window. For whatever reason, they would not give her a different opportunity. They didn't see it. Sometimes we have people that just don't see that well. Thank goodness you have a leadership team that has a vision and they see well. So you never know who's watching. You don't know who's watching you, who's been watching you right now. You might think you do, but maybe there's several leaders that have been watching you. So my word to you when it comes to attitude is to always think about an attitude with gratitude. Because Candace is living a totally different life. She changed her circumstances simply because she had a fantastic attitude. Does that make sense to you? Yes. Okay. However, and I don't know when Candace got it, I don't know when she got it, but nothing happens without thinking first. No great idea comes without thinking. And none of you can do what you're headed for without pulling together and doing it together. Nothing great was ever done alone. Some of us might think so. The Wright brothers didn't do what they did alone. In fact, Einstein didn't do what he did all by himself. Planes weren't built by one person. The space shuttle wasn't built by one person. And one person can't prevent every single injury going forward. I spent 25 years in safety in a lot of different areas under the safety umbrella. The hardest area of work in safety is not engineering something. It's connecting with people and letting them know that you really truly care about their welfare, their well-being. Because after the fact, it's too late. When you have to go and report what just occurred on the job to someone's family, to their husband, wife, grandmother, grandparent, it's a difficult job to do. And I know that there are a lot of people who not only represent safety, that are responsible for people's lives when it comes to safety. So I vote for safety, by the way. But nothing great happens without the way we think. So mindset is our way of thinking. And in order to think well, it starts with you. You can convince and inspire other people, but you have to be in the right mindset first. And what is the right mindset? The mindset that I can do this. The mindset that I believe in myself. The mindset that I have value to add. The mindset that I'm going to give whatever it is that I have to give. Whatever I have, I'm going to share it. I'm going to give it. I'm going to empty myself out daily, put it back in, and then give it out again. That's the way we change the world. Healthy people, healthy community. My mama used to say, well, you can't help someone clean up their front yard until your backyard's clean. So get out there. If you want to help other people, you got to make sure your stuff is clean. I got a couple pounds here that I want to trimmed down. I handed out some candy. You know why I handed out the candy? And I only handed it out in the back and the front rows. And the reason I did that, I want you to share if you feel like you need some candy. Open it up, have some, and share it with the tables that don't have it. Now, the original reason I hand out candy is I like sweets. I have a sweet tooth. In fact, I'm a chocoholic. And I noticed it could be a mental condition. As Jerry was talking, I started thinking, well, maybe it's just a mental condition I have, and I have to deal with it from that perspective. But what I did was I started bringing it into my presentations because it frees me up from having to eat it all myself. So it's therapy for me. And I'm working on getting to a point where I don't even think about chocoholics or chocolate. But it's the way we think. I'm changing the way I think. How many of you read The Magic of Thinking Big? Raise your hand if you read that book. Yeah, and only one person out in the desert the other day had read that and The Slight Edge. How many of you read The Slight Edge? That same person raised their hand. I have something for you. You come see me when I'm done. Is she trying to retire? She's what? She wants the chocolate. So somebody hand her some chocolate. I've got something else for her. And actually, if she wins, then I would expect two things to occur when she wakes up. After she hits the floor and wakes up, I would expect her to do what I did with the candy and share. But it's the way we think. So the magic of thinking big creates the environment in our mind for us to look at things differently. And when we start looking at things differently, we're able to not only work on ourselves first, we're able to think about how we might serve others. Does that make sense? Everyone has a purpose. You did not wake up today just because we needed you to breathe the air. Each and every one of us has a purpose. Now, I will promise you that if you just sit around and go to your job every day and don't really think about what is my one thing, what is my purpose, then you'll just do what you're doing and you won't ever become extraordinary. Because most people, it's real easy to be extraordinary over here. Any of us can be ordinary, but it's very difficult to move from ordinary to extraordinary. Does that make sense? But it doesn't take much. How many of you give 100% on your job every day? Oh, come on, that's all? Okay, the rest of you, we got to work on you. But if you get up every day, I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning every day, 4:30, 5 o'clock. That's my ritual. I get up, I walk the dog, Winston. I go down to Starbucks. I live in Old Town Temecula, so I can even walk to Old Town Temecula, but I don't walk, I'm lazy. Well, sometimes I walk, but not every morning. And I do my ritual, and then I leave there, and by 11:30 every day I've done, like the Marines used to say, I've done more than most people have done. It's because I set a ritual for myself, because I know for a fact that I only have so much time. How we think we have all the time in the world. I promise you we don't. We don't have all the time in the world. And so the reality of it is we're here for a specific time. We're here to do a job, find our purpose, serve, and move on. Speaking of serve, how many of you feel like you're in the service business? Yeah, you are. You're serving. You're serving. Every day you're serving. In fact, the highest thing that you can do is serve. It really is. And a year ago, I spoke at a conference at Cal Baptist University, and a young lady came up to me just recently, and she said, I heard you speak a year ago, and I'm sorry to tell you, I see a lot of people, travel a lot. I can't remember everyone. I remember faces fairly well. And she looked familiar when she came up to me, but I could not think of her name. I couldn't. But what I did know is that I had seen her before. And she said, Randy, I got to tell you, I saw you a year ago, and I had some things going on in my life, and I heard you speak, and I'm telling you that I changed the direction of my life that day. When I left Cal Baptist, I changed what I was doing. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. So when someone comes to you in your public health position and you serve them, because guess what? They're coming to you for help, aren't they? Are they just coming to visit and have coffee with you? Or are they coming because they need help? Yeah, they're coming because we need to serve them and they need to get the help that we have. And everyone can't do what you do. They're not cut out for it. I don't think you just fell into public health. I really don't. Not after hearing 2 days of the presentations and what's going on. Most of you have found the reason you're here, or you wouldn't have been here 20, 30 years. You wouldn't do it. But perhaps you can move from 100% to giving 110%. Because where you're going in the future, it's going to take 110% effort in order to get there. And guess what? One person can make a difference, but the entire group of you can change the world.